The people who are going to tell you,
sorry, pero gusto ko remote work. Ayoko ng office work.
when you look at the trajectory of their career with you, yan yung mga hindi tatagal sa'yo. Because para sa kanila, work should be convenient, work should be easy, work should fit their lives. It's not the other way around. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Been a while since I recorded. It's been a heck of a time with me running for board in JCI Manila. So we weren't able to record. This is once again one of the first few sessions that we're gonna be doing. Thank you for all of those who have been with us through this time since we started the blog since 2019 of July. So today we're going to be talking about why remote work culture won't work for a lot of companies. For a lot of startups especially, it's very, very hard to establish a culture that is good, that is great. Mahirap na nga yung gagawin mo yun na lahat kayo nasa opisina. How much more if you're working from home? It's very, very difficult to be able to do that. This is not for every company. There are companies that I am familiar with. I am not personally acquainted with them, but I'm familiar about them, who have made remote work culture work for them. But it did start from an office space before. When you look at the history of the company, they did have time when they would work in an office and they would collaborate and they would formulate their core values and their purpose statements and mission and vision statements there. But it's extremely hard if you're going to be starting as a remote work company kagad and then you're gonna make your purpose statements there, you're gonna make your core values there pa lang, and you expect everyone to uphold it, you expect everyone to be able to memorize it and put it to heart. It's very, very difficult. Is it impossible? Maybe not. But generally, when you're starting up, or when you're scaling up, turning your business into a professional company, you're in that road, so maybe you're in between 5 to 20 years old as a business, generally, mahirap gawin yun. Nang remote work ka, tapos yung culture, you're very intentional about it, you want it established. It's almost impossible. There came a time when all of us were forced, in a way, to do remote work. That's during the pandemic, 2020 to 2022. We came back to the office here in SEO Hacker sometime April of 2022, and then we did hybrid all the way until we were able to do a Monday to Friday work schedule again. So during that time, when we were working from home, of course, the first 3 months of the lockdowns, diba? March, April, May, maybe June. So first 4 months, at least from my experience as CEO of SEO Hacker, talagang wala masyadong nagbabayad na kliyente. Right? So everyone's like waiting for what's gonna happen. In those months when there were a lot of question marks on our heads, we weren't getting paid by clients. So we were unsure of what's gonna happen. But one thing's for sure, we had employees, we had people who we needed to take care of. So even if we weren't able to collect from clients, we were still paying the salaries of our people. And the Execom during that time decided not to get salary so that we can pay off everyone in the team. So we sacrificed for the people. But you know what happened? And I was intentional about the culture already during that time. Since 2017, I would work in the office. I wrote our core values. I wrote the purpose statements. I wrote the mission and vision statements. But during the pandemic, what we noticed was there were a lot of people who fell out. They either resigned
sulat ka ng resignation letter, ipasa mo na.
or they got fired because the culture was not that strong in them anymore. And these are the same people who we sacrificed for, and they knew that the Execom didn't take any salary during those months.
You guys are getting paid?
And they knew that it was very hard for us to close deal during those years, but still we paid them off. The same people we sacrificed for, a lot of them are gone now.
Emotional damage!
And there are still people who have stayed with us, but I would say most of the people we hired during the pandemic na nag-start sila ng remote work, hindi na sila tumagal. Wala na sila sa amin ngayong 2024. What does that tell you? Well, at least that tells me that people who you start to build the culture with remotely won't really last long. When you look at culture, usually how we summarize it is This is how things are done around here. That defines your culture. How things are done, what we believe in as a collective, how we think a certain task or a project or our purpose statement should be fulfilled. We're all supposedly going into one direction, one vision together. That mostly defines the culture. How are you going to instill all of that and make sure it is going to define your company, your people, your team? If hindi kayo sabay-sabay nag-online, if hindi kayo sabay-sabay nagkikitaan, if hindi kayo sabay-sabay magtrabaho, it's very, very hard. To do it only via Zoom or via Google Meets, it's going to be a big challenge. It's already challenging enough to be able to make sure your pricing is good against competition, to make sure that your market share is healthy, to make sure you have good potential clients in the pipeline, to make sure that your people are taken care of, to make sure that you're paying good salary, to make sure that you're financially profitable. All of these are also hard enough to make sure that, you know, when the tax man comes knocking, you have enough in your war chest, or, you know, you pay your taxes right. It's difficult enough to do that. And mas papahirapan mo pa yung sarili mo if you're going to be building a really good culture all remotely. Now, I'm not saying remote work is bad, because if another pandemic happens, wag naman sana, di ba? Pero, you know, during those times, then you really have to do remote work. And you have to make it work. And you have to do your best. But from my experience, it was not a sticky culture. It didn't stick to people who we hired remotely. So I would discourage establishing the culture you want, doing it remotely. If you want to establish a really good culture, you're very intentional about it, you have to do it face-to-face. Office talaga. Kasi dun mafe-feel ka agad eh.
Okay, this is how things are done around here. This is how these people think. This is the things that I should learn to do along with these other people who I call teammates.
It was a no-brainer for my execom to decide we have to go back to a 5-day work. When you look at the statistics, let's say the assumption here is you're not a multinational company, okay? The assumption here is you're either doing a startup, you want to start a company, or you're in the scale-up process. You're done with the first 5 years, you're scaling up to the next 10 to 15 years. That's the assumption, okay? When you look at the people you're gonna be hiring, the people who are going to tell you,
Sorry, pero gusto ko remote work. Ayoko ng office work.
when you look at the trajectory of their career with you, yan yung mga hindi tatagal sa'yo. Because para sa kanila, work should be convenient, work should be easy, work should fit their lives. It's not the other way around. Here's the thing. Work is a commitment. We are all called to do great work for our clients. We are called to serve our customers. How can you have that commitment that you're going to dish out your best effort, your best work, kung sa simula pa lang, gusto mo, yung trabaho mo na yung nagko-conform sa buhay mo? You want to be comfortable, you want it done your way, in your time, and if life gets in the way, uunahin mo yun, kung ano man yun. Yung grocery mo, yung shopping mo, unahin mo yun. Kasi remote work naman eh. Hindi naman importante na unahin yung trabaho kasi wala naman nakakita sa'yo. Diba? And you work on your own time. So, when you look at the trajectory, the people who clamor and demand for remote work, these people are not the people who are going to build your company with you. They might be good pantawid. Kung kailangan mo talaga ng tao, kailangan mo na ngayon, wala kang mahanap pa, remote work lang yung gusto niya, siguro okay lang. But if you're going to look at the lifetime of your company, these people are not gonna stay. Maybe they'll stay for a year, maybe 2 years, and then they're gonna be gone. Bakit? Because ang dami mong kalaban eh. Other companies abroad who would probably pay more, because for them it's cheap labor here in the Philippines, they're gonna be hiring those people whom you hired to work remotely. They're gonna be offering jobs to them as well. And since the people who clamor for remote work are entitled for their lives to be first versus committing their lives to the best work possible, tatanggapin nila yung next best offer na makuha nila.
Ma'am, I quit. I resign. Mahal ko trabaho ko, pero mas mahal ko yung sarili ko. Goodbye.
Unlike people who work with me, for example, here in the office in SEO Hacker, these are people who are committed. Not just to me, but to people that we work with. We work as a team talaga.
Is it worth it? Oh yeah, it's worth it. If you're strong enough.
the teamship and camaraderie is something that is largely going to be missing if you're going to be doing full remote work. It's not going to be as felt when you're in the office. You're building a company. How long do you want to build this company? Short lang ba? Or do you want to build it long term? If you're like me and I really want to build it long term, make it grow, then I want people who will build it alongside me, with me, long term. Kaya we don't hire for remote positions at all. Now, if multinational companies hire for remote positions, well and good. They have their culture established. They probably have a remote work protocol process already. Okay lang. Pero yun na yung nakikita ko ngayon na parang medyo chip sa armor ng multinationals eh. Because if they hire a lot of people who work remotely and the culture is damaged in a way, medyo nagka-crumble na yung culture kasi marami silang remote workers, then startups or scale-ups, medium-sized companies like yours and mine, we have the chance to eat market share. Because if our team is solid, is really, really good, kahit na sabihin mong hindi tayo all-star team, pero sobrang galing nung team natin, then we have the chance to perhaps beat these multinational companies in some of the industries that they're in. So for me, the world is still changing. The world has changed drastically since the pandemic. It's still changing today. Because MNCs, multinational companies, they're still hiring. They're hiring remote workers, or some of them are doing hybrid right now. While us, who are very serious in making it big, we're doing everything we can to make sure the culture is great so that everyone works as a team. And that is how you beat multinational companies in the industries that they're in. You make a really great, solid team. If you study a lot of companies, you will realize most of them crumble from within. Hindi naman dahil sa outside factors yan. Hindi dahil mahirap yung market, hindi dahil may competitor ka na nanlolobol ng presyo. That rarely happens. It does happen, but it rarely happens. Most companies really, the problem is they crumble from within. The culture is not great. You have gossip, you have slander going around, nagtitirahan, you have unresolved conflict. And so people inside the company itself don't want to work together, don't want to help each other out.
Stanley, we're having a little
Leave me alone,
we're
damn it.
having a brainstorm session.
Did I stutter?
Your part of the boat is sinking as if you're not part of that same boat, diba? So, may mga internal strife and conflict. This is why a lot of companies fail, especially when they're, big enough, medium-sized na, tapos na sila sa startup years. Anong nangyayari? Hire yung company, hindi nila nababantayan yung culture, hindi nila nababantayan kung sino yung pumapasok sa team. Hindi na pala maganda yung ugali, or hindi na pala maganda yung behavior, or hindi malayo pala yung beliefs and principles sa core values ng company. So the team crumbles from within. If you do that, transfer it now to a remote work environment, that makes it a lot worse. Because you're dividing now the team. So if you have people coming into the office and you have people in the remote team, now the people in the office are saying, well, why can't I work remotely as well? So the team will now have a division. And you, as a business owner, or as a manager, as a leader in the company, we all know divisions are not great. We have to work as a unit if we want to be successful, or if we want to be the best in the industry. Aside from the culture crumbling because of remote work, you also have time that's stolen. True story. When we were doing remote work before, there were people who would try and work around their time trackers. Kaya naman dayain talaga yun kung sa kaya. Nasa integrity naman na ng tao yun kung talagang gagawin niya honestly yung time tracker niya. So we're using Hubstaff. That's the time tracking software that we use. And there were people who would really try to work around it. They would use macros para yung keyboard and mouse nila gumagalaw. So nahalata namin kasi it's impossible naman to have an extremely high activity rate. So we really investigate these things. And another reason why companies crumble and fall is because of theft, pilferage. Their employees steal from them. Either equipment or inventory, or in my case, since we're a high knowledge service company, time is being stolen. Time and knowledge is being stolen. You gotta minimize that, and it's very hard to monitor these things if people are working remotely. It's hard enough if they're working here in the office, lalo na if they're working remotely. Another reason is why I would personally choose working in an office versus doing remote work is people who have the discipline to come to work during work days, and that's for us 5 days a week, and to be here on time or earlier than the allotted time. These are the people who have the discipline for their work. Ito yung mga taong pag nasa trabaho talaga yung ginagawa nila. And these are the people you want to be building your business with because they have the discipline to grow with you. They love what they do, they come here on time, they respect their peers, they respect their clientele. There's just so many benefits, so many good ideas that come out of all of that. I'm not saying remote work is bad or it's impossible to build a great culture with remote work, but it's extremely difficult. And if you're just starting up or you're scaling up your business, you're a medium-sized company, I would encourage you to, rather than have a remote work culture, build your culture in the office. And those are the kinds of people anyway that you would want to build your company with long term. I completely believe that the companies who have at least a 5-day work week in the office and are intentional about their culture, I believe these are the companies that are going to succeed and beat the market. Companies who are doing full remote work, I think they're gonna be struggling from 2024 today onwards. It's really gonna be very difficult for them. It's not applicable to all companies. There are some companies doing really well doing remote work, but majority of the companies will find it very hard to have a remote work culture from 2024 onward. I hope that this gives you a good idea on what you want to do from today onward. And if it benefited you, I hope you can share this podcast episode with your friends, family, peers, co-workers. We are on Spotify. You can follow us there. We're also on YouTube. You can subscribe to us there. Don't forget to hit the bell notification icon so you can get notified on our future videos, and the like button. That helps us a lot. Again, this is your host, John C., Mr. CEO 22. I hope that I added value to you today. Take care and God bless you.